What if the gift you waited your whole life to receive became the center of your hardest test? Isaac was the son Abraham and Sarah had believed they might never hold. His birth had turned years of silence into laughter. Through him, God had promised to build a family, a nation, and a blessing that would reach the world. Then Genesis chapter 22 opens with words that change the atmosphere completely. God tested Abraham. Abraham heard his name and answered. The command that followed was devastating. He was to take Isaac, the son he loved, to the land of Moriah and offer him there. The Bible does not pretend this was easy, and neither should we. Abraham had waited decades for Isaac. Every promise about the future seemed connected to this boy. Now faith and fear stood together in the same tent. Scripture does not record a speech from Abraham that night. It simply tells us that he rose early the next morning. He saddled his donkey, prepared the wood, and set out with Isaac and 2 servants. For 3 days they traveled. Imagine the silence between footsteps, the creak of leather, and the long road stretching toward a mountain Abraham did not want to reach. On the 3rd day, Abraham saw the place in the distance. He told the servants to remain with the donkey while he and Isaac went forward to worship. Then he said that they would return. Those words matter. Abraham did not understand how the promise and the command could fit together, but he still believed the story would not end on that mountain. He placed the wood on Isaac's shoulders. Abraham carried the fire and the knife, and father and son walked on together. Then Isaac broke the silence. He could see the fire. He could see the wood. But where was the lamb for the offering? Abraham answered that God would provide what was needed. It was not a casual reply. It was faith speaking through anguish. Abraham still had no visible answer, yet he placed the outcome in God's hands. At the place God had shown him, Abraham built an altar and arranged the wood. He bound Isaac and laid him there. We do not need a graphic image to feel the weight of that moment. The beloved son, the waiting father, and the promise all seemed to meet at one impossible point. But before Isaac was harmed, a voice called urgently from heaven. Abraham! Abraham! He stopped. The command was clear. Do not harm the boy. The test had revealed that Abraham would not place even his greatest gift above the God who gave it. Yet the ending also revealed something about God's character. He did not allow Isaac to die. Abraham looked up and saw a ram caught by its horns in a thicket. The provision had been there, though Abraham had not seen it before. He released Isaac and offered the ram instead. Then Abraham named the place, "The Lord will provide." What he had spoken on the climb became what he witnessed on the mountain. God repeated his covenant promise. Abraham's descendants would become as numerous as the stars and the sand, and through his offspring, the nations of the earth would be blessed. This is a difficult story, and it must never be used to excuse cruelty or harm. It describes a unique test in Abraham's covenant journey. The story ends with God stopping the sacrifice, protecting Isaac, and providing a substitute. For Christians, that substitute points beyond Moriah. Isaac carried the wood, but another beloved son would one day carry a cross. On Moriah, God provided a ram, and Isaac lived. In the gospel, God gave his son Jesus, who willingly laid down his life and rose again so that others could live. Abraham and Isaac came down the mountain together. The promise had survived the test, not because Abraham understood everything, but because God remained faithful. Faith is not the absence of trembling. Sometimes faith is taking the next obedient step while trusting that God's character is steadier than what we can see. The father had faced his hardest test. The son had been spared. And on the mountain, God had provided. But Isaac's story was still beginning. Soon a servant would travel far from home, searching for the woman who would join Isaac in carrying the promise forward.